Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. We've got some fun projects for you today. Let's get started. I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're working on our Thanksgiving burlap wreath or fall or whatever you wanted to call it. This is a real fun wreath. It's easy to do and it's pretty inexpensive. So we're going to get started. I'm going to be using the wreaths that you pick up from the Dollar Tree, dollar store, whatever. They have them in different seasons. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Christmas one or a Thanksgiving one. It can be any season that you happen to pick them up. And the first thing we're going to do is take the garland off. And it's got these nubs on it to hold the garland on it. So I'll show you a close-up here. We're going to just find one and pull that first one off. And if you can't get it off, then go ahead and cut it. I try and just reuse them. I try not to break them, and that way I can reuse it. And then once you get one, it's just going to come off really easy. You're just going to go back and forth and just remove the garland. And I've got other projects I'm using the garland for. So save that. We're going to use it for something else. Use it for decoration, anything like that. That's really... I'm always reusing. I never throw anything away. You'd be surprised at what I reuse. So we're going to go ahead and remove that all the way off. And that's probably where it started. If it doesn't want to come off, that's probably where it kind of started. So we're going to get it, cut it, or untie it, or whatever you have to do there. And I'm not going to worry about it today. I'm just going to clip it off. All right. So we've got our garland off, so I'm going to get rid of my garland. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these nubs on the outside and the inside because we're going to go inside of those. We're not going on the outside of those, and you don't want them in your way. So I'm just using my little wire cutters. You probably could use your scissors. There's no wire in there, just little plastic nubs all the way around. I'm doing a lot of wreaths with these. You'd be surprised what you can use. So for $1, we have our wreath frame. A real inexpensive way of doing it. I think the average wreath frame is at least $3 to $6, if not more. So we're doing one for $1 here. If you get them after clearance too, you might get them for 50 cents. So think about that, saving them, getting them ahead of time. I always try to look for my ribbons and stuff on sale, like this brown poly mesh. I got this on sale, and it was like in the Halloween stuff, so I got it 80 or 90% off. I usually try to not pay no more than $1 for my ribbon, believe it or not. And they had the exact same stuff, full price. It just had Christmas tag on it instead of the Halloween tag. So look for things like that. I've picked up black and browns out of the Christmas ribbon when it goes on clearance. Just think of using it for other holidays, not just getting stuck in just that. Now, on this one, I used the poly mesh, and I really like that for that kind of natural look. But on this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and try a kind of fall ribbon and show you the two different looks. This one was a 2.5 to 3 inch. I think it was 2.5. I always think it's 3, and it's not. And I applied it just the same way I'm going to this one. That's the only difference. And I did all of that around twice, and I'll explain what twice means once we get going there. And I still had that much left over. So I'm going to pull the camera around so we can get close-ups, and we'll get started. Now they have a top on them, and I want to try and remember to leave it on there and to use that as a top so I have something to hang it onto. You also have this little area here, but when you go to glue everything, just make sure that that's on the top. I forget that a lot. So I'm going to try and start right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to push this ribbon up through it. Now, when you're working with ribbon, if it's not the poly mesh, you want to make sure that you have a wire in it. So if you bend your ribbon, you can fluff it back out, and it doesn't really hurt your ribbon. If it's kind of creased, you also can take your spray bottle and water it down and kind of get the wrinkles out. Now, I pulled this little tail up through here, and we're going to hot glue that on, and that will be our anchor, and that's how we're going to start our ribbon. And you don't want very much on that. You just want it where it won't show, but yet you've got it anchored. And that's only time when we're starting and finishing is the only time we're going to glue it. And there's no wiring it at all. And so now I'm just going to come up in the middle of our wreath and try and keep the exact same heights on our ribbon. If you go around one time, it takes about 3 yards of ribbon, exactly 3 yards of ribbon. So if you do it twice, you would want 6 yards of ribbon on this middle part. And so we're just going to fluff that up, and it's real simple. Don't overthink it. We're just going from there to there, pulling this guy up. I'm not twisting them in between or anything. It's just because the wire in these and the way they've got these spaces separated here. So I'm going to go ahead, go all the way around, and then we'll start our burlap. Alright, we've gone all the way around, and we're coming to our last little loop here. Now, if you wanted to, you could push these aside and bring these up and make 2 loops, and that's what I did in this one right here. And I think this one is wide enough that I don't need the 2 loops in it. I think that looks pretty good just the way that that is, but you have that option of doing it single or double loop, and you just do it the exact same way. You would just come up again in the exact same hole and bring those up all the way around. Now I'm going to come up there, and I am going to glue the last one off. So I'm going to cut the tail just like we started it. We're going to finish it that way. Little tail. And we're just going to anchor that, hot glue that on right there. Just glue it on. I'm just going to glue it onto the loop I started with, that first one. And those should be nice and tight. You shouldn't have hardly any down here. It should all be on the top part. So now that we've got all of those in, we're going to come back with our burlap. And this is 6-inch burlap. And we are going to pull it through, and I'm going to anchor this the same way we did the first one. I am going to, let's see, start it over here, and I'm going to pull it up just a little bit on this side. And I'm going to glue the tails. I'm trying to get the tail not so up so far that you can see it. I'm going to hot glue that down. I'm going to remove a little little bit of it as well too, so you don't, that doesn't show through. You're going to get so much burlapping here it probably won't, but I don't want to take that chance. Just anchor that same way. So on this side, we're just going to pull all of that through, but we're just going to have a small piece of burlap there. Not very much at all. Anchor that just a little bit better. And then we're going to come over on this side now, and you're going to be working from this side to this side, back and forth. And you're going to pull it through here. Now on this one, we're going to make a nice big loop on it. So we've got a nice big loop, because we want the big part of our wreath to be out here. We don't need so much on the inside, because it's smaller area. So I'm going to now bring it through the inside, and if you can see right here, we have two separate areas and we only have one on this side, but we're going to be bringing it through here and then here and then here and then here. So you're going to get two in this area, but they're going to be just pulled up a little bit, not a whole bunch, just enough. You want to try and get the whole thing through to keep your ribbon even, your burlap even. And we're going to pull it through. And you want to keep these about the same size. And they're going to kind of set on one on top of another. That's okay. And these need to get this guy a little bit bigger. Okay, so now that we've done that one, we're coming back into this inside. We're going to pull, make sure you got both ends of that all the way in. A little bit of him. And we're not twisting that, we're keeping that straight as we go. And we're going to pull that guy out there. Okay, I'm going to come back on the inside, so I'm up to this guy up here, just a little guy. Pull a little bit of him, and I'm going to keep on working all the way around, and I'll meet you on the other side. Alright, I've gone all the way around. This is my last one, my last loop, so you should have all those loops completely filled. And I'm just going to glue it this direction. You know you've done it right if you can see your loops, unless you glued over them to anchor off. You can see both of those rims. So you know you've done it right. And that should lay pretty nice and flat. And the amount of ribbon you use on the outside is going to depending on how big you make it. I made this in a little bit bigger out in here. I would say 9 to 15 yards. And just depending on how big you make it. Now, I'm going to come back in, because I've kind of messed all these guys up. I'm going to have to make... They're going to have to make this... a turkey tail. Wouldn't that be fun? Make that his turkey tail. I'm going to have to think of that one for next year. I'll work on that. Okay, so we've got that all nice and neat. And you can do so much with this. Just take on what we taught you at the basics and build on it. Now remember, we want that, and then you kind of have to watch him at the very end that you're not tangling him up. So I'm going to put a pumpkin in mine. It's just a glitter pumpkin that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue it on the bottom and the top. But a turkey would also be really cute as well, or whatever you wanted to. And you don't have to put anything in there. You just want to make sure that you get that nice and secure. All right, we've got that in, and then I used leaves. Again, you could use whatever you wanted to, and I'm going to stick the leaves a little bit out so they're not tucked under the ribbon all the way, and I'm going to use 8. So I'm going to divide it off into 4s first, and I know I have 8 around here somewhere. Okay, I found my leaves that were fluttering around here. And so I've kind of got those set out just a little bit from the ribbon, like I said, so they don't tuck up underneath. And I'm just going to hot glue those on. And you want them tucked under a little bit, but not where you can't see them. And you can push those down. Because of the ribbon, they'll go up and down a little bit, so they're not laying flat. You know, I don't like things to lay flat. And you can see the burlap is messy, and that's why I have my apron on. It kind of get that fuzzy stuff all over, and you can see it on my other ribbon there. I really like that ribbon in there, but I really like the brown poly mesh too. It's just a different look. It depends on what kind of look you want to go for. You could put sunflowers on it. You could put just whatever you want to. Then I came back in and I used my pine cones just to go ahead and give it a little bit more fall feel to it. So we're just going to put those all the way around it as well. Again, you don't have to do that if you do not like that. That's going to be totally up to you. Just can't believe by changing the ribbon, doing a little bit smaller, the change of the wreath, the way it looks. You could use acorns, whatever you wanted to use. There's no right or wrong. Just take what we've taught you today and build on it. And we are done. As quick as that was, we are done. Isn't that a real different looking wreath? And we've used it on the Dollar Tree wreath to begin with, so we have a real inexpensive base, and we can build it however we want to. That is our burlap Thanksgiving wreath or fall wreath. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give us a thumbs up on our video. Subscribe to our YouTube so you'll be the first one to see all of the fun things coming out. I hope you have a blessed Thanksgiving.